Okay, so we are live. This is the Daytripper Photo Show. We've been having a little pre-chat. Sorry about being a little bit late today. Unfortunately, the photos are too good. So we were in a debate. We were in a debate over who should be first, second, third,
Some
or honorable
tension in the
mention.
ranks.
I know, right? Like as soon as we had it all down, it feels like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I felt like 12 men, the hung jury with one person.
William hung jury.
Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the Daytripper Photo Show. I'm Bryan Weiss. I'm the guy that talks a lot, and beside me is my buddy Phil Zerato.
Hi
Good
there.
day. Welcome back, Phil. You're in new surroundings tonight.
I am new building, new office, new house. All the same, I guess. Still working on getting everything set up, which is why I have my cardboard box friends behind me.
See,
Eventually they'll get emptied. My
like
goal
that.
is to keep it less than a month.
Okay, but I like the Henry's bag. You should keep that.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize. I'm glad you noticed things.
It just picks, you notice backgrounds eventually. I do, eventually, thank God. In fact, I was just wondering about that. I'm shooting a big event for Roy Foss this coming weekend, and last time I shot it, I'm seeing people's stuff coming out of people's heads. So yeah, I'm glad I'm noticing these things now.
There you go.
Experience. All right, Gabriel, how are you doing, man?
Not too bad.
Good to
Only
see you.
slightly dying and just getting over this cold or whatever it is. I don't know.
Well, you'll be fine as long as you survive the show.
Exactly.
That's what really matters, right?
That's all that matters.
So did you take a self-portrait? I noticed the other two people took self-portraits for the challenge.
Oh wow. I did. I took a duck face selfie. I'm like, just getting ready for the show. I'm just like selfie, but I decided not to post it. So.
Well, I'm glad you said that because the show, the title for our photo challenge, our current photo challenge, was self-portrait. Now that can be, taken many different ways. You could take it as a selfie, which some people did. You could take it as something with a little bit more thought, something maybe taking a little more time, and possibly even have like a bit more of a story behind it, which is kind of what we were hoping for. But possibly giving us a little bit more than just a selfie. So, but ultimately contributing to the show makes me happy. When I see everybody contributing like you did this week, it's pretty awesome, and I'm really, really appreciative of it. Did you guys have a chance to see the link that I posted in our notes from Flora Borsi?
No, I didn't click on it yet.
All right, well, I'm just going to pull this up quickly here, do a quick screen share, just to share with what I was thinking. No, obviously not exactly what I was thinking we would see, but something with some different vision and different thought behind. These are self-portraits of this photographer who have taken animal eyes and merged it with her own. So an animal photo, her
If
photo.
I wasn't looking at the picture, that would sound very sadistic.
It would sound very not good, very not good. Once again, PETA is angry with our show. But, it's really interesting, the vision that she had in creating self-portraits.
It's cool.
Right? So it's not to say that I was expecting people to go to this extreme for our little photo challenge. Not even close.
And I would almost kind of balance in here that these aren't really pictures anymore. They're not photographs anymore. They're almost like a painting.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the terminology they use to describe her is a photo retoucher.
Okay.
So she's a photographer / photo retoucher, and you can see that the edit really comes a lot into something like that. But
Right.
there was some pretty impressive edit with the photos that were actually submitted. So you don't have to be, Mrs. Borzi here to make these incredible, cool photos. You can have a lot of great results just by being creative and thinking outside the box, which a lot of people did. And I give you guys utmost amount of credit. It's not easy to make photos that are interesting to look at. I tried. I tried maybe in 3 different times to do a selfie or a self-portrait that I was more proud of. I hung out with Navi, our old friend Navi, and a friend of ours, Robert Schindelheim, the other night. We went shooting at a studio, and we were trying to do this whole self-portrait thing. You've seen the photos on the community. They're a lot of fun. I shot Robert with an 85mm tilt-shift lens. And by the way, tilt-shift lenses, we're talking about that next week, and it's confirmed. The next week's show, our first Tips and Techniques show, otherwise known as TNT, will be including our old friend Don Komarechka as we talk about tilt-shift lenses. So that getting the technical side behind how to use them and where to use them, that's what our first TNT show is going to be all about. So that's going to be kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought so. And Don, thank you for agreeing to be on our show again. Obviously, we haven't bothered you that much yet, so that's a good thing. So yeah, for people to go out there and make these images, it wasn't easy. Navi's, I thought, turned out fantastic. The lighting and the drama, the hair over her face, and that all kind of real contrasty light with just a little bit of light over here. Kind of neat. I loved it. Navi shot one of me from a different angle, kind of made it black and white. And the question was asked, how come the top of my head was cut off? And my answer to that is I don't like the top of my head. But yeah, beyond that, I didn't edit the photo. That was all Navi. So
technically, he doesn't actually have a top of his head. That's why he always wears a hat. It was an industrial accident. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Batman was there, so I was saved. So here's the thing. We're changing things up. As I've mentioned, we're doing a TNT show, tips and techniques. We're doing this kind of a show, a photo review show. We're really hopefully going to give you a proper critique of your images. And we're also doing our banter show. Now, we've sent out a survey, and guys, please, the survey's still open. So if you have something to say about the show, please go fill out our survey. Let us know what you're thinking. The replies so far have been fantastic. Some really great tips, and some of those we've already rolled into the show as tonight. But the more feedback we get, the better I think the show will become. So splitting it up to these 3 different shows is going to give us some flexibility. The shows are going to be hopefully a little bit shorter. We're also going to be able to get more involved in our discussion and hopefully be a better benefit for each person. Should be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to the banter show, and it's going to be actually related to like previous shows. So the first one is going to be related to last week's show with Ron Clifford, where we discuss, his description of the Antarctic with all the snow and everything like that. Does that prove once and for all that global warming is a farce? So it should be interesting.
And long story short, the carrying weight of a Australian swallow.
Well, of course, yes.
Yeah, and we're also going to get into the fact that it's been officially found that there's an additional planet in our solar system, which is...
I cannot wait to read that article.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that.
We're looking at disturbances in the Kepler belt, which was pretty interesting.
So we have a lot of discussion for our banter show. Should be a lot of fun. But we'll save it all for then. For now, though, let's get into this a little bit. A recap of how the points will work for our photo challenges. This is where it's going to get interesting. So we're going to have a quarterly contest. And for the first quarter, which will end on the 13th of April, so get your photos in for each challenge. There's going to be 5 challenges in this quarter. Each challenge, you have a chance of winning first, second, third place. Or, potentially, if there's enough photos, we will have an honorable mention. Now, these are all photos that we have decided are meeting all of our individual qualifications for being a photo that interests us and inspires us, and also things that we have to give credit for a technical challenge or for something that maybe you haven't done before that you've accomplished. So it's a goal that we're going to reward you for. I think it's great that people make the effort to make these photos, and thank you all so much for doing so. And this is our way of hopefully giving back. So first place prize at the end of the quarter is a $350 Daytripper Photo gift certificate that you can use toward any or as many sessions as it would cover for an entire year. So that's pretty sweet. You can use that to come to our overnight session up in North Bay. You can use it to come to the Algonquin session in the fall where we do the waterfalls and the foliage and whatever session you're interested in. That'll cover at least most of it, and that should be great. And for the second prize, so there's only going to be 2 prizes for this, aside from individual recognition per week, and hopefully, as we get closer, some sponsors that might jump on board, but can't promise anything there. But the second prize is going to be a $75 Daytripper Photo gift certificate that we're going to award at random to anybody who submits a photo. So you don't necessarily have to win to walk away with a cool prize at the end of the quarter. So keep on submitting your photos for these challenges. Keep on making some amazing pieces of art that we are enjoying thoroughly as we go over our discussion, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So each week, or each challenge, I should say, first place gets 6 points, second place gets 4 points, third place gets 2 points, and if there's an honorable mention, you get 1 point. So by the end of the quarter, we add up all the points, and we can have a winner. Should be a lot of fun.
Nice.
Any thoughts on that, guys?
I like the idea.
I think it'll keep people involved, eh?
And it gives kind of a target to go for, and hopefully will encourage people that aren't 100% if they should submit something to submit something, because it's great to see your pictures out there. It's great to see what everyone in the community is doing, and I know it might be an odd thing, but I think I posted my first picture ever to Google Plus today.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Gabe, I'm pretty stoked about it. How about you?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
Cool.
Anything that helps get people more engaged and in the community more and submitting and stuff. I love it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what people do, and let's start getting on with the show. Just first, I want to remind everybody, again, the survey is up. Please go fill out the survey if you haven't already. It's pinned to the top of the Daytripper Photo community. Oh, and by the way, each week, the winner of each challenge will have their photo pinned to the top of the community for the full first week. So you'll also have your photo shown more, I guess. That would be kind of cool. So go to the community, join our community on Google+. That's always a lot of fun. It's the first thing you should do if you're watching this on YouTube afterward. Remember, you can go back and join the community. It's a lot of fun. People enjoy it. And also, if you like our show, click like, tell the world you do like it, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your friends. If you have somebody who likes photography, share this with them. Maybe they want to get a little bit of a kickstart in their world of photography, and hopefully that's what we can provide. Oh, and don't forget, if you're watching us live, join the Q&A. Be a part of our conversation. And excuse me, there's already quite a few posts in the Q&A, so why don't we take a second before we start the actual meat and potatoes of the show and go over these things here. Christine says, good evening, gentlemen. I'm glad she's watching because earlier she made a post that she didn't have, or she tried to make some photos for the challenge and wasn't successful due to some technical issues and some this and some that. So, you know what? That's fine. You made the effort. That's awesome. Thank you. Maybe for the next challenge, it might make it a little easier for you. Sometimes some of these themes click and sometimes they don't, right? I just can't get inspired to come up with a great idea. Mark?
And it's also hard to find time as well sometimes.
That's for sure. No, it's split up over 3 weeks, so hopefully that might help with the time factor. But still.
But you still might leave it to, the morning before you go to the office. Just saying.
Just saying, and then grab a Nintendo gun and try something. Mark Moore says, hello. Hello to you, Mark. I'm glad you're watching. Sheila, hi, guys. My first live show. That's very cool. This is our first live show.
It's awesome. Well, welcome.
Welcome. Hi. And Jerry's wondering what the ahead stick in my hand was. It's actually a drumstick, and that Zildjian is cymbals, so I was actually in a drumming mode and spinning the stick. Wah! And then I did a 15-second exposure with flash, so you don't see the stick spinning. It stopped in midair, but you can see the Zildjian in 2 places and a little bit of motion around my head. That's what that long exposure gave me. So that was a fun exercise I did a long time ago. Actually, I think Phil inspired me to do that one. Phil inspired me to do some other ones in the backyard at night, and I carry that over to this Zildjian portrait, which is probably my favorite self-portrait I've ever done. It's hard. Actually, I was trying to make a self-portrait for this challenge, and I kept on thinking back to that one, thinking, I've already done it. Why am I trying? I enjoyed it. Andrew's watching. Good evening to you, sir. And Rachel says this is usually her bedtime. So we'll see how long she can stay awake. We are known for putting people to sleep, Rachel, so hopefully that won't be the case tonight.
We'll just randomly, every few minutes, wake up! Every now and then.
Leave the headphones on, and we'll get you up.
Yeah.
Heather's watching. Hello to you. And Sheila asked, okay, so this is probably right at the very start. She's asking, has anything started yet?
A couple minutes late.
Yeah, a little bit late, because we were trying to decide who should win this contest. Some good photos. Okay.
All right.
So let's get into this. It's been a while since we've needed a proper critique.
Wake up!
But it's true, though, eh, guys? Like, we've had several challenges now where we haven't had too many submissions, and we haven't really do the full critique. So I'm glad that we're able to get into this. So we had quite a few submissions, which is awesome. But one thing I just want to say, before we get into any of the review part of it, any of the critique, there's just something that that was posted on one of the photos that I just want to make a quick comment on. From now on, we just have to remember the whole point of the Daytripper Photo community is to be just that, a community. And to me, community is where we kind of give each other a boost where we need it, and give us a tip when somebody's in the middle of a shoot and they need some help. They can post it and get that quick tip back to get them shooting again. And also people we can trust and feel confident sharing our photos with. So sometimes our photos are rather personal, right? Like, it's pretty bold, and I'm going to use Sheila as a quick example. It's pretty, and it's even in my notes, that she was very brave, and I think Lori made the comment on her photo that she's brave for submitting that photo of herself, you know, in this abandoned building. So sometimes we don't want our photos to be looked at and judged as much as potentially giving some input to improve. So when we're giving reviews, when we're making comments on everybody's photos, please just remember, guys, there's certain things that we try and say and certain things we try and not say. Now, I'm not telling everybody to, you know, pussyfoot around what you want to say, but, you know, think before you type and try and be sensitive to the photographer and honest at the same time when you're giving your opinions. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Now, one more thing. If you've ever talked to me at the store or anywhere and you mentioned to me that somebody's a professional photographer or whatever, I mean, that's great. Good for you for getting paid. It doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're talking about. So I don't like classifying people as far as like pro and amateur and things like that. Do you guys know what I'm trying to say here?
Well, yeah. The only thing that makes you professional is that you've gotten paid for something.
Yeah.
So, you know,
on a regular basis.
In theory, anyone can be professional if they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have people that never get paid for a picture yet take pictures that are outstandingly better than what most people, you know, get paid to shoot. And I can think of, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again, but there's a wedding photographer out in Durham region who gets paid to shoot. She's a professional photographer, and she is, I know we're trying to say nice things, but I'd say easily one of the worst photographers I have seen ever, maybe. Especially for someone who's charging for what is arguably what people would call the most important day of their life, or at least the most expensive day of your life. That when you buy a house. Both are very expensive.
Yeah, no kidding. But at the same time, I think ultimately the point that we're trying to make is that let's not classify amateur, professional, this or that. I mean, we're all photographers who are learning, and myself included, these guys included, anybody I know who is a professional photographer, or at least anybody I would hang around with, always says, first and foremost, we are all learning. We are all at the same level. Some just have more experience. So let's keep that in mind when we're talking about our photos. And for our critique, we will try hard not to say those things, but rather give pointers, help photographers, you know, benefit from our experience. And then it's up to you guys, our community, to pipe in during the show. Tell us what you think about the photo we're talking about, and you know, give us your opinions and let us know what you think as well, because we will bring that right into the show. Hallie, hello, good to see you as well. Mark, and you are both watching, which is awesome. You guys are great supporters of the show, and I appreciate that. Okay, anything else to add before we start talking about some photos, guys?
No, I like your points, and you know, just kind of riffing off that. Just because you've been doing it forever doesn't mean that you're good. Just because you're brand new doesn't mean that you're bad. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You got to keep trying to learn, keep trying to expand, and keep trying different things. And
exactly.
The day you stop trying is the day that it goes downhill.
And again, guys, if you're told that you are an amateur, that in the back of your mind, as you're shooting, you're always telling yourself, oh, I'm just an amateur, I'm just an amateur. So the more you tell yourself that, the more true it becomes. So just don't even worry about those things. Just shoot.
Whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right.
There you go. Okay, so let's get into these photos. Who wants to do a screen share?
I'm not 100% how well my mouse is working because I don't have proper hookup right now, so I wouldn't recommend me.
I will volunteer Gabriel to do the screen share.
Okay. Gabriel has been volunteered.
And accepted.
There we go.
So don't forget, guys, join in the Q&A. Let us know what you think of these images, and
Absolutely.
We have a lot of fun doing this. So the first one, I believe, is Santa Claus. Mark Flinders posted a self-portrait of Santa Claus.
That's okay.
Joking.
I don't think that's for Santa. Oh, okay. All right.
I do like that we have different styles of portraits. Like we have portraits that are more isolated. You have the subject who's, you know, just that's the only thing in the picture. We have portraits where it's telling a story. It's more of a, I don't know, we could call it like an environmental portrait. We have self-portraits that are, you know, maybe riffing or playing with the idea of something common that we've seen.
Lots of different takes on the theme.
Yeah, and I like it. I like seeing so many different ideas of one word, and that's what I like to see, because a lot of times, I might be going down a hole. Stop me if I am. A lot of times, like when I started shooting film, and you tell, let's say, 5 people to take a picture of something, you get 5 different pictures. But it seems more and more, you tell someone to take a picture, you get the same picture, just 5 of them. Mm-hmm. With what we've seen today, and over the last kind of couple weeks as this has been happening, is everyone's shooting something different. Mm-hmm. And it's all correct, and it's all awesome.
Absolutely. Agreed. Okay, so just so you know, Phil, from now on, when one of us starts a squirrel, I'm counting a 2-minute squirrel countdown.
Okay. And
at the end of the 2 minutes, you will hear...
I like it. Okay, good. That way we can run ourselves.
I got a better sound effect. Wake up!
Rachel's still watching, hopefully. Okay, back to Jerry's photo. So this is Jerry Kelly. This is his self-portrait.
I like this.
I like it too. It's a very classic kind of portrait that you would find when you would post it as like a profile photo for Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that.
500px.
Yeah, 500px, exactly.
I still know a couple of people with this style of picture, and it works great.
Yeah, it does, and I'm just excited to see 2 factors. 1, he's using Nikon, and 2, he's using Cotton Carrier. Way to go, Jerry! It's my thing. I'm allowed to say that.
And he's using green. And
now, okay, technically on the photo, what do you think about this photo here, Phil?
I like it. I'm not a big fan of the picture in the background. I think it could be great for a background. However, I'd have it either all in the background or not in the background. That's really the only negative thing I have about this picture. Everything else in it I like. I like how the focus, at least from what I can see, is on him. He's nice and sharp. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Gabriel, anything to
add? No, I mean, you know what? In all honesty, I'm kind of thinking about my points and then reading your notes, and you're gonna address everything I'm about to say in your notes. So I shall pass the speaking shell over to you.
Okay, I have the shell. Okay, so there's a few things that I would think to potentially help you with a photo like this. Now, it's nothing that you did when shooting as much as it is that you can do in post to improve the shot. Although I agree with Phil's comment, which I didn't even put in my notes, about the background kind of being split there. Making it full or none of it, I think that's a great suggestion. But one thing that I noticed is your white balance is a bit off, Jerry. It's a bit more toward the muted yellowish skin tone, where if you had just taken your white balance slider just a tidge over to the bluer side, maybe would have potentially made a little bit more realistic skin tone. Now, if you had shot this in RAW, then it's an easy edit. If you shot it in JPEG, still fairly easy edit. It's not far off. It's just a bit. And the tighter crop, I think I would have thought about. If you look on the very top of the photo, there's a glare on that poster. And if you were to crop it just above your wrist at the top, and then potentially a little bit below the elbow, or just above the elbow, that would have taken away the bottom, taken away the top, and I'm just holding my hands up here. And it really would have been maybe like a 1-to-1 crop, the square crop, and that would have cleaned up the edges a little bit.
And I think that would have also fixed my only negative about the shot. Sorry, a roadrunner going on?
That was not to wake Rachel up. That was not.
Yeah, I like it.
She said she's still up. That's good.
Good point.
Okay, so anything else to add on, James?
But it's just.
Oh, come on now. Okay. There's been a real push to Nikon lately. Have you guys noticed?
They've been coming out with a lot of things, and there's been a lot of people. There's been a weekly photo show that actually did a long spiel on a couple new Nikons, and I think it was very biased.
Do you? Why don't you tell me a bit about that? Okay, moving along. Sorry.
Can I do here? Let me just really quickly here.
I do also want to add something, if I may.
Please.
If anyone doesn't like us doing this with their picture, please put it in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to submit your picture but don't have it critiqued.
Well, not so much critiqued, but more of the re-edit. If you're not comfortable with that idea, just let us know.
No, it's a good point. And ultimately, this isn't anything that Gabriel's going to save or do anything with. This is just conversation.
Just for tonight's purposes.
Yeah, kind of like that. So it's just a tiny little change, and the photo just has more realism to it.
Vignette, little vignette there, and maybe a tiny little bit of clarity, and then if I go before and after.
Yep. Now it's different, but personal choice trumps anything we say.
Right.
So.
Absolutely, yeah. That's just a suggestion.
Cool.
Or even
Gabriel's doing this in Lightroom. However, this would be equally doable in Photoshop Elements and relatively doable in something like iPhoto.
Or even Picasa or Snapseed or...
Exactly. PicMonkey, whatever you want to use.
PicMonkey.
I don't know if I would trust PicMonkey. It's free online. I don't know.
Never heard of it.
Lindsay loves it.
Oh,
it works relatively well.
Did you just say Lindsay loves the pink monkey?
And moving to the next
photo.
All
right. Jerry, no, seriously, thank you for submitting. Excellent work, and I hope the opinions were well received. Okay, Heather's photo. If I could start.
Okay.
I really want to like this photo. And when I say that, I'm trying to say like compositionally and so on, but there's one factor that's kind of pulling me away from it, and that's the resolution. It looks to me like this was a very low-res photo that has been enlarged or something, because it's more pixelated than I would expect it to be. You know what I mean? So it's in a way that kind of pulls me away from looking deeper into the image. But Jerry said keep going with the edit, so he was quite happy with it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Mark asked how heavy a vignette are you using on Jerry's?
If I go effects, minus 26.
Okay. Just a bit.
Around there. You know, I don't try to get too heavy-handed. I think that's probably, you know, and I know some photographers, they have their number that they edit to, and then they always use that number. And I just completely ignore the numbers. I move the slider till I think it is, you know, at the right place for that photo, and then maybe I'll go back and look at the number, but usually I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the number can be important if you're working on, let's say, a group of pictures you shot outside. You're trying to get all of the white balances to be exact.
For consistency.
Yeah. Maybe you'd look at the number, but I agree with Gabriel about not having the number, because I know that some people, and they'll adjust and they'll have the slider and they're like, well, I put it to 15 and I don't go past 15, but it really can 16.
Yeah. But it depends on the photo, and you can adjust your rectangle and your square, and you can adjust the midpoint. Yeah. So that's the thing. Play around with it. Jerry says he likes the comments. Excellent. That's good to hear. And Christine says she's always interested what we would do with someone else's photo. What we would do with someone else's submission. Photography is all about perspective, and I agree with that 100%. Heather says she played with it with blur, but she wants to retry tomorrow. Okay. And she says yes, it is soft. So you know, it's just something that comes across, and when it's soft, it doesn't let me jump into the eyes. It doesn't let me jump into the soul of the photo. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sheila asked if you would have flipped it so that the Nikon is showing in the correct direction, and that would be on Jerry's photo. I don't think I would have. And that would have looked unrealistic, unless you're trying to mirror it, in which case you can mirror it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not sure how to do that here.
And then Mark asked, do we recommend a vignette on every or most photos? Well, I'm not going to say every, but I'm going to quote Ansel Adams, who said, yeah, there's no finished photo unless you add a vignette to it. So, not word for word, but that was basically an Ansel Adams.
So a photo isn't done until you add the vignette or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And you know, especially on portraits, I find that it works for most of them.
Well, the idea is to draw contrast to your face.
Exactly.
And by adding a vignette, it darkens out the edges and pulls you back into the center. We're going to talk about that on a few photos as we go, but let's give the proper attention here to Heather's photo. Again, so I really want to like it, and I could tell that there's more of a story here. There's something about this shot, something in your eye, something about having the tree in front of you. My first thought is, the tree is your strength, and you're gathering shelter. You're getting shelter from the stresses of your life under your tree. So I could see a tree as being a real focus point for somebody in a photo. My other thought, though, is that the tilt of your head against the opposite slant of the tree is kind of pulling me out of that as well. So it's tough to tell when you're doing a self-portrait how that angle is working with you. But just a slight tilt of your head another direction and maybe a different crop, and again would have brought you into that shot. Maybe keep the top of your head in the photo or something. Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. This would be one of my favorites if it wasn't for the clarity issue, which she's obviously aware of, and I'm looking forward to her trying it again. Geez, your notes are pretty thorough. I don't have a lot to add, but I like the contrast with the colors against the bark and everything like that. But yeah, if we can see another one a little bit sharper,
it'd be interesting to see that redone.
Yeah.
Phil, would you have a quick thing to say?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think the angle of the head could work though, like if she's trying to have like a playful aspect to it, and like popping out from behind a tree, kind of maybe a bit of a like surprise in there. I think it could work that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In my mind, she's holding an axe.
Just out of frame.
Yeah.
Just about to lunge at the camera. Well, you never know. It can happen. It can happen. But great shot. Thank you for submitting, and the fact that you've already said that you played with it. Maybe you'll retry. I'm anxious to see what you do. That's great.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go along to the next photo. All right, awesome.
There we go.
So this is Jody, and love the shot. Very well done. Classic portrait.
Yeah,
absolutely. Lori said it best. Great natural portrait of you, Jody.
Yeah. And it is the first thing that comes to mind when you say self-portrait. This is sort of like you said, like the classic self-portrait.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's in focus. It's in sharp. It's in sharp. Yes, I like how in sharp that photo is.
I was about to say something, but I'm glad you grabbed that.
It is sharp, and she's got a great expression, nice smile. It's great.
It's perfect for a professional portrait.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of things that I thought about. I mean, the lighting is fantastic. Nice little catch light in your eye. No backlight or highlights in weird places that are drawing me away from your face. It's got a bit of a vignette. You can see it on your shoulder there. Great depth of field. The back shoulder kind of blurs away, and the face is perfectly in focus right to the eyes. Awesome headshot.
The only what I would suggest for next time. So this looks like one light shooting from above. And maybe play around with Rembrandt lighting. So one light from above on a 45-degree angle, so you get that nice nose shadow, and maybe experiment with the lighting in different angles and different positions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Christine just said. She likes that the face is evenly lit, and that's really what you're saying. It's nice for that perfect headshot that it's evenly lit, but what you're suggesting potentially is create some drama and try some different things at the same time.
Yeah, or maybe a little fill card underneath. She's got very high cheeks, just like my wife.
Phil, you said Phil, so I'm flashing to you, Phil.
Oh,
okay.
Right, okay.
I like the shot. I like. So if I duplicate anything, please let me know.
Go for it.
But I like the catch lights. The predominant kind of light in the eyes. I do like how she stands out from the background. There's, at least from what I can see on my screen, there's nothing back there. It's just very stark contrast. Immediately drawn towards her. I do agree. Maybe the lighting. You could throw some Rembrandt lighting in, get it, that whole fancy triangle under the eye thing. But I really don't mind it being a full, full proper lighting.
And I think that's where it comes down to preference, and we have to determine what Jody was taking the photo for. If it is for like a professional portrait, it's probably better to have the even light. Mm-hmm. But if it's for the creative side and something like that, then she can play around with all these different lighting styles as well.
And it's just that goes to show that you can have one picture, like you could have her in the same position, but change one light source. and adjust it, and you'd get 5 or 6 different shots, same position, but many different pictures based on just simply where you have the lighting, whether you have the light coming across the hair, whether you have a hair light coming from the background, are you having it coming from the side.
Yeah, and this is a lot of what you got into, Gabriel, when we did the One Light Infinite Possibility session.
Yeah, yeah, which was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah, exactly, and just playing around with different lights and finding what's the best for different types of portraits and everything. But yeah, we covered that a fair amount.
All right, anything else to add on Jody's photo?
I don't think so.
All right, cool. Let's move it along. Before we get to the next photo, Heather just says for that photo that we just saw flashed up on the screen there, she said it was a chainsaw in her other hand.
Oh, woman after my own heart.
There you go. And Sheila said that was a great shot for the last photo of Jody that we were looking at, and I agree. Great shot.
I agree as well.
Okay, so who's next? We're going to Tom's photo.
Yes,
okay.
Tom.
So first of all, thank you, Tom, for submitting. I think it's not easy to put yourself out there for a photo challenge, and you know what? You jumped in head first. This is your first time in the Hangout, and you jumped in head first, and I really appreciate that. Now, the way I look at a photo critique, and we talked about this in brief earlier, the platform can be summed up in 3 ways. This is my interpretation of a proper photo critique. When you're talking about focus, exposure, and composition, right? Those are the main things in any photo. So that's what I would like to talk about. And to be frank, one of the comments, or there were some comments made by a review on this photo. And I don't need to name names because it's there and who's ever in the community can read it. One of the comments was, obviously you are new to this. Now, this is not generally how I like to think. We talked about this earlier. I know people have been shooting for decades that do no better than this, so it can definitely be that.
It's hard to take a handheld selfie with a DSLR.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, I've tried it. I tried it when I'm camping and stuff like that, and it never turns out this good.
That's right. Now, there's no need to label advanced, rookie, or old, or whatever, because there's no benefit to that. There's just none. 2, separate person from background by shooting lens wide open. Okay, so here's the thing. The lens that he had on there was a 28-300. He does have a 35. If he had been shooting that wide open, his eyes would have been in focus, or possibly his nose, or possibly his eyebrows, or possibly his ears, or possibly his chin. It would have been so hard to do a self-portrait where focus, handheld, would actually stay on an eye when you're shooting wide open with a bright prime. Just saying. So the fact that you did this with a 50th of a second shutter speed, handheld, with a big heavy camera, much props to you for even attempting that. It's well done. Now, keep in mind, too, the minimum focus distance on that lens is 1.6 feet. So
it's like max arm reach.
Exactly. So if you're holding this thing out with your arm and you're trying to take a self-portrait and not look like your arm is stretching out and all that, again, that's not easy to do. So all credit to you for that. Now, something you could have done, this is my advice here, with the same lens, with the same kit, and potentially a tripod and self-timer, you could have moved the camera further away from you and zoomed into the $300 or $300 Freudian slip of some kind there, 300 millimeter focal length, and framed it with something in the shot that you could focus on ahead of time, where your head would be. Move back, get the photo from a further distance away, but zoomed in, which would flatten depth of field, and that could potentially be a little easier than a self-portrait with a bright prime.
Yeah, maybe. I will admit that having never shot a self-portrait before, I completely forgot that my camera will focus before I take the picture and not after the countdown.
Yep.
That is a very large pain to work with. Having to, and as you said, put something where your head's going to be, and then move it, and then put your head in the proper spot. Hope that your eyes are where the focus was, but it's a pain.
It's not easy.
So the fact that anyone got a sharp picture is beyond me. But the fact that it's not an easy thing to do.
Agreed. Gabe, any points on that as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, like I said, a lot of times when I'm out, I've got my 5D Mark III with the 7200, and I'll try and do a selfie with me, a couple friends. I mean, it's hard enough to try and hit the button. Usually I end up taking it upside down and then just flipping it in Lightroom, because that's the easier way to do it. So that's impressive. Now, I do, you've fallen victim to one of the classic selfie problems, and a lot of, you'll see this with cell phones or with DSLRs, is you're holding the camera out and you're trying to get your head back from the camera, so you're pulling your face back. And there's any model, and Bryan knows Peter Hurley. He knows whenever I'm doing any type of corporate headshot or anything like that, there's a trick just called chin out and down. And I'm going to bring this over here and just show you a little example. So a lot of people, when they're in front of the camera, they kind of retreat a little bit, and that causes this little chin issue that you can see down here. And what you want to do when you're doing a selfie, or any time somebody pulls up a camera within 10-foot radius of you, your chin should be facing the camera, out about 1 inch and down about half an inch.
I think it's great that I'm looking at the cams, and Phil's trying it, and I'm trying it, and everybody who's watching right now is obvious.
And you're gonna overextend your chin a little bit, and when you're doing it, you're gonna feel very awkward and weird because you're sticking it out further than you normally would, and it's going to feel weird. But once you get it in the picture, the camera loves that, and you see the difference here, right? It's pulling out, like, even not just in the chin here, like, look at, there's a line on her neck there, and then this one, it's gone. It pulls everything out, accentuates the cheek line and the chin line and the jaw line. Sorry, that's the word I'm violently grasping for. So a lot, you can run into that issue, especially when you're holding a big camera in front of you. You tend to pull your face back. So, in the future, just remember that. And you'll see my wife and I, when we're at an event and a camera goes up, somebody raises a camera, we're both like, it's chin out and down, chin out and down.
I will agree that it's going to feel ridiculous when you're doing it. Or if you're shooting a portrait of someone and you're asking them to do it, they're going to think it's ridiculous. But after showing them the actual result, it'll make perfect sense to them.
It's the extra 10%, right, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
And for all the corporate camera adds 10 pounds, that's entirely where it adds it, is just positioning of yourself. Or in most cases, because we'd rather be on the other side of the camera, positioning of the model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and another point I wanted to make, one of the comments, person is very flat and image isn't the sharpest. Well, again, handheld makes this a super challenge. A 50th of a second is near impossible to handhold if you're human and you have a heartbeat and you're breathing. So that's the first thing. So again, a tripod would have helped with that. And secondly, this was shot at ISO 6400, and at 6400, even though it's a D750, which is awesome and the clarity is great, color does start to shift a little bit. And you might inject some noise into the shot, but it's not a big deal there. So my recommendation is, the comment, keep learning and practicing, I agree with that. But that's what we're all here for, isn't it? We're all here to keep learning and practicing and trying new things. So good on you, Tom. Thank you for submitting the photo. Hopefully our review, our opinions on this photo were helpful. And, yeah, that's about it. Anything else to add, guys?
No, I think that's everything.
Perfect. Let's move it along then. Roberto. This is one of the photos that we shot when we were hanging out the other night. And this was with an 85mm tilt shift, which is cool. Oh, I just wanted to make a comment here. Heather posted earlier, she just bought a driveway marker, I think she was trying to say, to try to focus on for her reshot. Oh, cool. So basically you have some sort of marker that you can put somewhere and focus on it first. Then you step in the shot, and that helps you with the self-portrait. Great idea. Great idea.
You get them from the dollar store.
Awesome. Good to know. So with this photo with Robert, okay, now I think Gabriel and I have slightly differing opinions on this photo, and I think that's great for this kind of conversation. Here are my thoughts, and then Gabe, I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
First of all, tilt shift. Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's awesome that you use the tilt shift. Good on you. Now I do like the light. I like the drama of it. I think you guys may know that I like that black and white kind of drama effect, but this isn't black and white. But I mean the contrast of it. So I think that's kind of cool. And having the candle and your face at the same plane allowed for focus in the two important factors at the same time. So your face, the candle, both in focus, and because they were on that same plane, I think that really helped. Now, for me, this is a kind of a symbolic photo. I know Robert well, and you know, fire to me is kind of a symbol of life, and the expression that you have looking at the candle, you know, it's a happy, somber moment that you're having, and I thought that that could mean a lot as well. So, without getting too much into it, I found this a very moving photo. And Gabe, what do you think?
Hated it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just I'll never be that brash. But no, I just for me,
we'll get Martin on for that.
Yeah, right.
If you're gonna, I don't see any light from the candle. Right, like, you know, I see a lot of exterior lighting and everything like that. But when I mean, unless it's, yeah, you know, obviously, like, yeah, if you're looking at it from an angle that I'm not, right, then you see the meaning in that. But I wouldn't mind, even if you're gonna do that, maybe change your color balance a little bit to have it be a softer light, so it looks like,
you know, that's a good point. Or maybe even put like a CTO gel on the flash that was used.
Yeah.
So the color matches and it looks more like candlelight. I get that.
Or just white balance afterwards.
Yeah, but then you have the color of the candle changing color too.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
Unless you do a selective.
You could. We have magic happening on the screen, apparently.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, so I just did a tiny little, just really, really quick, and I just warmed it up. So there's before, there's after, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I would remove it from the candle and stuff like that, and it's just really quick, and it just gives it a little bit of a warmer glow, and yeah, I'm like, if you're gonna bring out a gun in Act 1, you better use it by Act 3. If you're gonna bring out a gun, exactly. You know, if you're gonna bring out a candle, I want to see some of that nice illumination from it.
That makes sense. Cool.
So, but that's, you know, that's just me.
Now, illuminating anything with a candle can be very difficult because of the terrible amount of light that the candle actually puts off.
Oh, he can get that way closer to his face.
What are you trying to say, Gabriel?
I want singed mustache hairs.
Oh, God. Well, I'm with Sheila on this. I like the lighting, and
I like it too.
So, but I totally get your point with the color, and I do agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I see the candle, it just seems like you're writing a check and then not cashing it.
Okay.
You know, but if the candle means something else to you, then it does to me when I look at it. Then it's, you know, completely different.
Fair enough.
And that's great.
All right. Anything else to add on Robert's photo?
Not really. I like that he managed to get anything in focus with a tilt-shift lens. My only experience with him so far has been terribly underexposed pictures.
Well, you know, it was in the hands of a superior photographer.
Oh, Navi was there?
Yes, she was. Okay, let's move along. Speaking of Navi, there she is.
I love this photo.
So this was one of the shots where we had the lighting kind of behind her. And she set it all up. This is all Navi's idea. We set it up, and I snapped the shot and spun it around, and we instantly loved it. I think we tried 2 or 3 more tries, and yeah, this was the best.
If you took the picture, that it's not technically a self-portrait.
Well, she set up the lighting, and she basically handed me her camera and said, "Do this." So yes, I would say this is hers.
Okay, so you're basically like a glorified self-timer.
I was a voice actor. Voice actor timer, yes. Jerry, he just made a comment in the Q&A about the warmer version of the candlelight is a great idea, and I agree with that. Good point, Gabe.
Jerry is right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I like the picture because it's a portrait, but not in the typical sense. Like when you immediately think about a portrait, you think about someone's face, usually, or an animal's face. But in this shot, you're lacking most of what makes a portrait. You're lacking eyes. You're lacking really any definition on the face. You're instead getting a shadow where it would be. But you still know it's a person. you still know that it's Navi. You still know there's light coming in from the side, and it's being creative.
I think that gives a lot of drama.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mystery.
I don't know how somebody like Navi's so sweet, and in all of her pictures she comes off as such a badass. I mean, she is a badass, but she really comes off as a badass in her pictures.
Well, yeah, I think it's good that you said she is a badass, because she totally is. I mean, we've got ninja pictures of her kicking plates 6 feet in the air with a ninja kick. I mean, she's insane. But I love that this photo has so much drama to it, and I think she did a great job with the lighting.
Yeah, and then this is what, 2, maybe 3 lights?
2 lights.
Okay.
Yep.
So and you really could probably do it with 1 light if you had a really big reflector. So it's just the amount you can accomplish with 1 or 2 lights. It's awesome what you can come up with, and you got to think kind of outside the box with your pictures.
Well, it's
funny.
This
one doesn't count because it's Navi, of course. So.
But the funny thing is, we use the exact same lights for myself, Robert, and her.
Yeah.
So all the photos that you see of me, Robert, and Navi in that same night were taken with the same lights.
Okay.
Just in different positions.
Yep.
So it's really cool that you can play around like that. Okay, so since Navi is like an alumni of our show, let's not spend too much time on it and move along to something like...
So, do we want to just do one?
Yeah, let's do the first one.
Okay. I like these. These are cool.
Yes.
So, Phil, why don't you start?
Oh, I like these because it's more of an environmental, more of telling a story style portrait. Like it's kind of a portrait, but not portrait in the traditional sense. You're more of getting other kind of feelings from it. I like that she opted not to just have her the only thing in focus. She's got the up close. I'm not entirely sure what it is that's completely out of focus, but it's still angering. It's still part of the picture.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Gabe?
I like the creativity behind it, because I've driven down a lot of times and seen the abandoned buildings and stuff, and I've never thought, it's winter, I should get out of my car, and then I've never thought, I should lay down in the corner and take a selfie in the snow. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's that was I'm sure a whole process that got her to there, and she just rode the wave and came out with a great picture.
Agreed.
And I also love her comment on about how she began to think about, all I could think about was working with the street homeless people that struggle and somehow manage to live through our Canadian winters and stuff. So it's a little bit of a self-exploration while doing a self-portrait. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that sometimes people forget, is that taking certain pictures can take you on a internal journey while you're externally showing something to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark made a comment here. Haley and I both like the series. Has a photojournalistic feel, and it's very creative.
Yeah,
I agree. Mm-hmm. Photojournalistic approach to it, and that's kind of like what you're saying. She just, with her comments that she made about it, how she started feeling a certain way from being in the environment, which is telling a story of the environment.
Yeah,
great stuff. I love the fact that she kept in that information, that wall on the right side, and used the shallow depth of field there, because that gives the photo depth. That shows that she's set back into the environment. Yeah. If it was cropped just to her face, it's like, okay, there she is laying against the wall. Here she's involved in the environment.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really neat touch. And Karen said it best in her comment. She's a very brave lady for doing this. So Sheila, good on you for taking the time to get in there and do it. Using that wide frame, I think, was a great choice, and keeping that right side in the photo. Excellent job.
Yeah, doing it looks like about 16:9 cropping, so it's not normal cropping. That it's sort of a theatrical feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I do want to remind you, this is a very bold move. I mean, you could do this living here, because there aren't too many psychopaths lurking in old abandoned churches and what are these, barns and things like that in this area. But if you were to go to Detroit or some other places, you might want to think twice about kind of just jumping out of the car and running into a building to take.
Have if you're going to Detroit to shoot buildings like that, you have to have a police escort nowadays.
It's so true, very true. But this is fun. It's right up my alley. Urban exploration is kind of my vibe. So Very cool. Good stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it.
Anything
and
else
all
to
of
add?
the series are great.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I like all three of them. We just had to sort of focus on one in the interest of time.
All right. So this one. So Mark has been watching. Okay, so Sheila says, good reminder for sure. Being alone and being a woman, I was a bit nervous. You know what? This day and age, I hear what you're saying, but in this day and age, even I, as a 44-year-old, 6'3" and a something, 210-pound guy, I would still be nervous about going into some places alone. Which is why when I'm doing it, I usually like hanging out with Phil and Gabriel and my friends, that we can feel pretty confident that we take care of each other in those situations. So things to keep in mind.
Unless air conditioners attack, and that's a different story.
When air conditioners go bad. Phil, was there a scar from that by any chance on your phone?
No, surprisingly.
Okay, good. Just making sure. All right, Mark, let's look at this photo here. I don't always make pictures, but when I do, I prefer Nikon. Stay focused, my friends. Clever twist to a current, very popular commercial campaign. I thought that was brilliant. Many cool things here, guys. The time it took to create this, the quality of the light, the story, the ode to the commercial, which I thought was brilliant, the content, and of course the camera brand. It just goes on and on and on. Gabe, what do you think of this?
It's just like you were saying. It's the way things are positioned. He's got the beard. He's got the look down pat. And actually, when I was going through, and I was looking at my Google Plus feed, it took me a little while to realize that this was a submission for this challenge and not some sort of like actual Nikon advertising or something like that. So it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Very well done, Phil. What do you think?
I like it. I like the creativity behind it, because not only did he have to come up with a picture for this, but he also had to come up with like a slogan for it. And I like the creativity that went into it. I do like the lighting as well, that he has the blank background tying everything into there we go. Blank background is bringing your eyes directly towards him and the wrong camera brand. It's great.
No, but that's a good point, though. I mean, the contrast in the right places really helps the eye navigate through the photo well. You've got that triangle of Nikon on the bottom right, Nikon on the bottom left, and then his face. It's excellent. Good job, Mark. Well done.
I liked it.
Me too. I did. How I every now and then I just sort of pull a picture out and make some quick edits. So I just sort of just a couple quick things to this one. So there you go. I think that's much better.
Oh, yes. I do prefer Canon with all the Nikon equipment. I got a little more edit to do there, Gabriel.
Well, it was really quick.
Typical Canon user. Half-ass job. Okay, we joke. We jest.
Yes, it's only joking.
I do like one of the comments. Where was it? I saw it somewhere. He was Steven or Stephen Morley. I said it's the gunner, not the gun. So it doesn't matter what camera brand you use. It's how you use it.
Absolutely. No, Steven's bang on.
Look at Scott Kelby's wife, and she makes jaw-dropping photos almost every day that she posts up on Google Plus using her iPhone. We kid, we're never serious. I do know photographers that do take that seriously, and it's pathetic and it's hard to be around. So we're just kidding.
This is funny. Mark just made a comment. He says, "Thanks. Took me 3 days to grow the beard."
I think it took a couple months to get to that level.
With my Indian blood, that's about 3 years worth of growth right there.
That was awesome. Good job, Mark. Good job. All right, let's move along. What's next?
Are we going to do this one?
We don't have to. That's me.
Okay, everybody, this is Bryan. I like that picture. That's a great picture.
Thank you. Shot by Navi.
Lighting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the question I liked on this was, how come the top of my head is cut off? And that's because I don't like the top of my head. As Gabriel says, I don't actually have a top of my head. Yeah. So, okay.
It's a medical mystery.
So this is Lori's photo. It's so creepy. I love it. It's very Jurassic Park, don't you think? Like the eye of a raptor or something.
Yeah, or Well, it could be because I've watched the trailer 10,000 times, but it reminds me a lot of like Cloverfield or something that you would see in there.
Clockwork Orange, even in a way.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, that was dark.
Yeah.
So I've tried to take pictures of my own eye many times. I've never gotten one that I liked. It's either focused on the eyelash or focused on the the back of the eye or whatever. I've never been able to get the pupil really sharp, and I think Lori had a bit of challenge with that here as well. What do you guys think?
Maybe a little. It is very hard, especially if you're, Actually, I don't know what settings were used. Give me a second here. I'll join the conversation a minute. So, especially with like a macro lens, like the 105mm macro, you're holding it so close to yourself, and you're just kind of hoping that the camera focuses where you want, and the camera's function of focusing on the closest thing to it to begin with makes it, super challenging. And I still think it turned out really well. I will admit that it does look like maybe the eyelashes, or at least not even eyelashes, like the
edge of the eyelid.
I guess.
Yeah.
As opposed to the eye, like it's such a tiny difference in distance, but I still think it turned out pretty interesting.
Well, wide open with a 105 macro lens. That's going to be shallow depth of field, especially when you're close.
Probably, I'd say 4 inches away, maybe 3 inches away.
Yeah. Possibly, yeah.
Into a camera and trying to get everything to work out, I still think it worked out really well.
It's fun. Yeah. It's dramatic.
And this is one of those situations where having like a camera with an articulating lens or something would really come in handy if you could pop that lens out to the articulating screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If you could pop it up 100% or flip it out to the side, and then that way you can actually check your focus in real time.
Mind, if you're trying to do this photo and you breathe being on the other end of the lens, your breathing will take you so close and so far out of focus. It's really a tough shot.
True.
I think you're better off shooting it like an f11 and something like that.
I would say that if you are going to shoot at something like f3.2 as you are here, I would probably consider doing the thing that like Don Komarechka does, and that's the shoot on continuous and rock yourself back and forth. But in this case, you would rock your camera a little bit closer and a little bit farther away, and you're going to take maybe 7 or 8 pictures of your eye, but as you slowly move it forward and back, you're going to get that focus exactly where you want.
Yeah, at some point.
Because shooting macro, pointing at something is hard enough. And then pointing it at yourself and managing your arm movement, your head movement, your eye movement.
Yeah, there's so many variables.
It's quite challenging.
Now, I think, though, the editing and the crop kind of takes away from being a focus and making focus an issue in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've turned it into something different. It's no longer a picture of your eyeball. It's a piece of art with all the color that you added and all the texture and so on. So I don't know if it really makes that big a deal. It was just something I thought we had to mention.
I like it. I think it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see a behind the scenes on this one. See how she did this. Get some opinion on that. That'd be cool. But in the interest of time, let's move along. There's Paul's. Interesting photo. Now, first of all, new member, thank you very much for joining the community and jumping right in on our photo challenge. Very well done. Very interesting. It's totally my kind of photo. It's very high contrasty. It's very expressive. The drama, with the texture added and the edit that he did. I think, Phil, you mentioned earlier about the background.
I don't remember what it says.
You said you liked it.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I also like that he managed to get what looks like his eye in focus, even though he's wearing glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Because the camera usually wants to focus on the closest thing to us, so getting around that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think it's a really cool picture. I like the lighting. I like the kind of grunginess kind of feel to it. I don't know if that's the right word, but I like it.
What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, it's a great portrait. It's good processing. For me, it goes a little overboard in a couple areas, but also it makes other areas really, really work, like the top of the hat, the cracks in the leather and stuff. If it wasn't so heavily processed, that wouldn't come out the way that it does, and I really enjoy that. But then, like on the hand and the arm, it's a little bit and like maybe on the rim here it's a little bit much for me, but it's, so you take the good with the bad, and overall, it's a great photo. I like the pose. I like the coloring. Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm. My only thought would be, I think you touched on it with the over-processing a little bit along the edge of his arm, his right arm. My thought would be potentially kind of crop in a little bit on that side just to get rid of that. There's a little too much contrast around the very edge of the left edge of the photo that draws my eye away from what I want to be seeing, which is him. So
or vignette it down or something.
You could do that, but even if you crop it at the dark part in between the last two ridges of the wall behind him, so kind of where your mouse is there, but just like as a straight line up and down, that would get rid of that whole brightness on the very left edge and keep my eye in the photo. Even if you just put your hand there right now and look at what it looks like differently, you'll find your eye rests naturally on his face a little bit easier. That's just my thought. And Rachel, thank you for liking the show. Watch the rest of the show tomorrow. Great. Got a 5 a.m. start tomorrow. Good night. Good night to you, Rachel. Thanks for watching. So yeah, that would be my thought on this photo. Otherwise, I think it's a really cool photo. Very, very, very funky. Very cool. Okay, anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Bueller, anyone? Okay, let's move it along.
When you hear me quiet for a bit, it's because I'm having a hacking coughing fit. So.
Oh no. For somebody who's so healthy, you get sick so much.
No, it's just a sniffly nose that's been going around our family. So.
All right. So this is actually a self-portrait I took today. I'm wearing the same thing. This was my. I was wanting to do something different for a self-portrait, and I was sitting at the computer working earlier today, and I thought, hey, this is my life. This is like my environmental portrait here. All the things that I work on at the same time. You can see I've got about 15 to 20 different screens open there. My phone's going. I got a notepad with my list of things to do. I've got my calendar there. There's always something more it feels like I have to do. So that was my ode to being busy, which is not a bad thing.
And as soon as he finished this picture, he shut it all down and went back to watching wrestling.
I didn't really move much from that spot for the rest of the day. I still got the camera set up right here behind me, actually.
I've always wondered what the other side looked like, so that works perfectly.
Yeah, there you go. That's where all the magic happens.
Look like, so.
Yeah. And you notice that I'm not in focus.
Mm-hmm.
That was a on-purpose thing because I don't see myself as the important part in Daytripper Photo. I see the work that's done and all that as the focus, and I'm just the guy that administers it. So that's an intentional change in focus for that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see it. But anyway, that's me, and I don't count. So let's move along.
Okay.
Okay, this is Mark's photo. I'm looking at it on your screen. It almost looks like there's like a different colored W in the center. Like I'm doing like a colorblind test, and I'm noticing a letter in the photo. Do you guys catch that? Yeah.
Where?
Just like over his head. Yeah, I'm colorblind anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that.
It must just be the polarized glasses that I'm wearing or something.
Must be it.
Okay, so this is Mark's self-portrait. I think it's funny because he did this with his cell phone.
Okay.
So a self-portrait with a cell phone that's not attached in arm's length or to a selfie stick. It's kind of interesting, don't you think? Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
It's on a tripod with a self-timer or something.
He actually set the self-timer and rested it on his car with some bags.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's clever. You know, it's good for you to take the time and you know, in the middle of your busy daily life, actually get out of the vehicle and step out into the cold to do that. So, very cool. I do think, though, that you look a little small. I mean, it's kind of far back, right? It kind of reminds me, I watched this video of, it was kind of like a comic video of the world's first feature film shot entirely with a car's backup camera.
Okay.
So
what?
They literally had this car driving backwards, filming people as they're like running down the street and like close-up selfies, and they show like the behind the scenes where the guy's like, we had to be careful not to run her over and stuff like that. But look it up; it's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, it's with a camera, you can't zoom, you can't know where you're going to be, so you end up in the center of this photo with all this other stuff around you. It just diminishes your size and takes away your importance in the photo a little bit. Otherwise, you can't say anything about the shot. I mean, it's nice and clear. You zoom in, you get all the detail, you can see the snow on your jacket, and it's kind of cool. Any other thoughts, guys?
Sorry, I'm still stuck on the entire movie being shot with a...
Yeah, it took me a second. It's like, I know you're speaking English. You said several words, but when they string together, they don't make sense.
Seriously, please look it up. It's funny. It's a YouTube video, and it's kind of... We'll watch it.
Like, it's not just directly on him. It's, him, his surroundings. He's not looking at the camera. He's more contemplating what's happening around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only thing I would say with this photo is I like that. I like the scene. I like the the snow and everything like that. But it is missing a little bit of that extra 5%. There's still a lot you can do with photos, even if you take them on a phone. And if you threw that through Snapseed or something like that, which is a free photo editing software. So I brought this into Lightroom just really quickly, right? And so there's the original, right? And then that's just sharpened up and added some contrast and some blacks and stuff, and it really brings out the white and the snow and the contrast and everything. So just a tiny, and I added a little vignette around the side and stuff, and so just a little bit of extra. People say, oh, is that Photoshop? No, it's massaged.
It's edited. It's finished.
It's just slightly massaged.
One of the thoughts I had, though, and it's funny, he says this is the first time he's ever been called small, so that's kind of funny. But one of the thoughts I had is if you crop in a little bit and you bring him in closer, you see him more. But when I did that, I thought I should be looking at the owl that he's seeing in the tree. The way he's looking off to the side, it's making me think, what's he looking at? Mm-hmm. Is there something else there that I'm missing? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. And he says he did edit it with Snapseed, by the way. On his phone. So, there you go.
Right.
Cool. Now, there is one more photo, I think, that was just posted.
Yeah.
And
wait. Well, there's actually another one, too.
Yeah,
there's one?
There's two. That one there that Phil just shot this morning with his Nintendo gun, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Nice.
So our roaming photographer, Glenn Hubbers, just posted this shot here. He says, just for fun, which it is. It's super fun, just for a laugh.
I'm just glad to see he's finally in a place that's warmer than here.
Yeah, right. Well, it's finally gotten cold here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. He says, just for a laugh, so let's take it as that. And excellent stuff. Very funny.
That's great. I love that photo.
Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Phil, let's just show Phil's.
I'll leave that up on the screen there for contemplation.
Don't mess with
I
Phil.
want to add on when I'm looking at this picture. If you ever see a really cool font, like a movie trailer or something has a font, and you're like, I really like that, Google it. Because chances are someone has painstakingly remade the entire font, and you can download it. Yeah. And that's entirely what I did this morning.
This is the James Bond font?
I think this is the... I want to call it either the Quantum of Solace or the Skyfall font. I think this actually might be the Skyfall font.
Das Fonts?
Yeah, there's a fantastic website called dafont, dafont.com, and it has hundreds, if not thousands, of really, really good fonts, and they're all free and licensed, and you can use them for whatever you want.
Mac or PC?
I think so. If you go download, I think it...
WrestleMania. Cool.
Yeah, so you can... and it depends on what you're running, depends on how you install it, but it's pretty much as easy as downloading it and then dragging it to a different file. And then it just shows up in Photoshop or whatever you're going to use it in.
Cool. Glenn just says that his photo was made just north of New Orleans.
Nice.
Very nice. We're going to get Glenn back on for one of our banter shows, I think, and we can just have a chat and talk about where he's at again and what he's up to. Should be fun.
As he's touring Trump Nation.
Trump Nation. Oh God.
On the idea of Trump Nation, have you guys heard that theory that he's actually like a Democrat in disguise as a Republican, so that he can like destroy the Republican Party from within?
Not surprised, because now that he has that other dingbat in his corner. But anyway, let's...
You see the Sun cover? It's both of them pointing at each other saying I'm was stupid.
Oh, God. This is not a political show. This is not a political show. Okay, so that's pretty much it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much. We have to pick a theme for next week, which we still haven't done. And we have to announce the winners for this week's photo challenge. So, guys, why don't you post your theme suggestions in our chat, and then... we'll see where we're at, because we kind of talked about one. And if you want to still do that one, we can still do that one. But the winners for this week's photo challenges are, and we're going to start with third place right now. Third place goes to...
Oh, thank you. I didn't know what drum was.
That would be Paul's photo, self-portrait. His first week here, first submission, and he gets the first third place prize for a total of a few points. There he is. Excellent work. So Paul is going to receive his 2 points for this week's challenge. Excellent stuff, Paul. Thank you so much for submitting. Well done, well done. That is loud and flangy. Okay, so the second... I know, right?
It's like my ex-girlfriend.
Oh dear.
Second place prize this week goes to Sheila Burgess for her photo in the barn, hanging out. I love that shot. Very well done. That's the one. Good job. So Sheila, you're going to win yourself 4 points for this week.
Got to the points.
Sorry, Gabriel, what was that?
Got to the points.
Got through. Wah, ha, ha. Okay. It was a Spanish count. The count. And the first place prize this week will go to, with a total of 6 points. This one's the one that we were all agreed on. Goes to Mark Moore for his photo of... Oh, sorry. Mark Moore for his photo of the world's most interesting man that uses Nikon. And it's not because it was a Nikon. It was a very good thought, and it was very good lighting and just everything. Well done. Very good stuff. So congratulations to this week's winners. You all did very well done. And we had actually 2 people that we were going to use as honorable mention at one point, but we shifted things around. And I do want to give an honorable mention point to Lori Cloutier for her photo of the eyeball, and also for Jody for her classic self-portrait, because they were both very well done and a lot of good thought put into them. So Lori and Jody will each get a point on the wall of winners, the winner wall. I hate winners. I don't want to call it the winners wall, because it's kind of like a...
So we call it the losers wall.
No, it's not quite that either. And you're welcome, Sheila. Congratulations. Great work for you for getting out there and making that photo. All right, so the photo challenge for next week... let's go to see, what did you guys say?
Nothing helpful.
No, that's not exactly helpful. Oh, it's funny, actually. Gabriel's wife is starting a photography business, and she's been trying to think of a name for her business, and we were talking about this in the car. Yes, Phil, that one is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
We were talking about names that she should pick for her baby photo thing. I don't know if I should be getting into all this, but I liked my suggestion. What did I call it, Gabriel? I forget.
Something like drool and...
No, something. Making baby. No, baby.
Oh, making babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making,
or baby time.
Baby time.
Baby time, and then you say if you want to get into boudoir, you can do making baby time.
Making baby time. I don't know why that was so important for me.
Just don't do making baby time. That's not something good.
No, so that's not our photo challenge. Making baby time is not our photo challenge. Our photo challenge this week, we're going to call it Furry Family or Fluffy Family. So pictures of your pets, basically, is what we're asking you to do. So,
or the furry man or woman in your life.
There you go, a furry man.
It is winter. Some people,
That's right. They may be covered in fur. for all different reasons. So yeah, that's the photo challenges. Furry family or fluffy family if you want, and very anxious to see what you guys make. You have 3 weeks to do this because next week our photo show or our show is going to be with Don Kamarechka. Take a shot. And that's going to be on tilt shift lenses. We're getting into a technical tips and techniques show, TNT show, our first one. So that'll be a lot of fun talking about that. How tilt shift lenses work and how you can work in other ways to get that look and so on. So that should be a lot of fun. The week after that will be our banter show. We've already got quite a few things on our banter show run sheet because more things were added just in our conversation earlier. Lots of fun stuff. Okay, anything else to add before we say goodnight, guys? I'm waiting for the cricket sound or something.
Check out the first feature film shot on a backup camera.
Yes, please check out that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I gotta add that to my YouTube queue because of just reasons.
We'll watch that when we end the show. We'll have a little minute.
You gotta take a look at it. I'm so curious.
But thankfully, all of our lower thirds are working now, which is very cool. There's mine, daytripperphoto.com. If anybody's interested in day trips we have coming up. By the way, this Sunday we have our Fire on Ice day trip, and there's lots of space left, guys. So if you want to register, you're getting 3 hours of full hands-on training. You're going to get a full hour class and then a bunch of hours afterward to get some hands-on experience shooting the burning steel wool and getting a lot of really interesting images out of this environment. And by the way, Sunday is looking like it's going to be anywhere from 0 to -3, so it's not even going to be cold. It's going to be like summer weather, which is really cool. And Gabriel, where can folks find you?
You can find me at bousquetphotography.ca, but enough about me. Let's talk about my beautiful wife. Like you were saying, she is starting a newborn photography company. Now, when I say starting, she's getting the company name. I think she's actually I think she's actually decided on a name. This has been a 14-month struggle for her, but she has done a lot of baby photography in the past. She's really, really good at it, very talented, and if you get in on the ground floor, her it's before she makes the newspapers and her prices skyrocket. So if you or anybody that you know is expecting, she specializes in 2 to 7 day olds or 2 to 10 day olds.
Wow.
But if they're that's sort of the best age to get them because they're the most pliable and they move the least. Which
you just stretch them out and
you really just sort of as far as I figure, you just kind of squish them and you can just kind of spin them and squish them and stuff.
Is that what happened to Jaden? Is that why he is the way he is?
I'm entirely the reason he is the way he is. But no, she's amazing. She does amazing work, and so yeah, you can contact her at trish@bousquetphotography.ca. For now, she'll have her own email down the road, but you can get a hold of her that way if you'd be interested in that. That'd be fantastic.
Excellent. Now, when you get all of her stuff all up and running, we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, maybe we'll even have her on the show.
That would be a good idea. Very cool. Phil, where can folks get a hold of you?
As of right now, I think Google Plus is still probably the best bet. I'm still getting things kind of sorted out with how everything else is working. But for right now, Google Plus is probably the best bet.
Are you still teaching for the Learning Lab, Henry's Learning Lab in Oshawa?
As long as they'll have me.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's good to know as well. And we should always remind people about that. I mean, Phil is not just another pretty face. He's a great instructor, and he's been teaching for the Learning Lab for the past, 5 years or something like that now?
About 7 and a bit.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, no kidding. So, very cool. If anybody needs any help, you can definitely, and you're out the Pickering way, he can definitely help you out as well. So keep that in mind. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Mark and Sheila, you're very welcome. Congratulations to you for winning, and good work on you. Good work. We're going to have all these posts posted to the Daytripper community under the winners wall shortly, and everybody will be able to see what's going down. And, of course, the new photo challenge, Furry Family. Have a great time, everybody. We'll see you all next week when we've got Don Com on the show. Bye-bye.